So welcome back. This is the second time that we have recorded this. The first time, everything went well, except we ended up with JPEGs and not video. Don't ask me why. Mercury is retrograde, and so I'm just going to sit down there and say that's the reason. However, this is my client, Candi. Candi, this is the rest of the class. What we're talking about is the business of PTSD. One of the issues that you're going to have with dealing with PTSD is the traditional mental health professionals and group. So I'm going to make an assumption, and that's a dangerous thing to do, that none of us have been committed or have spent any time in a psych ward. However, Candi did not have that luxury. So a little bit about Candi's history. Candi came into me on a referral. She had been admitted into the St. Mary's psychiatric facility with suicidal tendencies. Her husband had committed suicide. She was having a really rough time. So we're going to kind of go at the beginning and move it straight through so that you understand what happened to her and what the standard talk therapy and pharmatherapy did and didn't do for her. So Candi, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay. So I lost my husband March 20th, 2010, and had at times tried psychology, psychiatrists, talking to people. It wasn't beneficial. January 14th, 2012, I was admitted into St. Mary's for trying to take my own life. I went into the emergency room and they sent me up to 4 North, which is the psych ward, basically. For my intake, I was diagnosed with bipolar depression, and they prescribed Seroquel XR, Abilify, hydroxyzine, Klonopin, Buspar, Tramadol, amitriptyline, and I had an existing prescription for Ambien and Percocet, which they never verified. I thought was odd. My time there, we would have group therapy sessions, little art projects that we would do, scheduled shower times. There was like breakfast was at like 7, so if you wanted to shower before that, you had to get up and do it then, or you had to wait till evening. And then throughout the day, we would have classes or groups that we would attend. There were bars on the windows. We didn't really have any personal items. You were able to have like a notebook and a pencil if you wanted to take any notes or start journaling or anything like that. You couldn't have any necklaces, anything with ties on them. If you had anything with ties on, they would either remove it or cut them off. I remember one thing that was especially difficult for me was shower time. You couldn't even lock the bathroom door, and your shampoo, because you couldn't bring anything in from the outside, was a 3-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, and body wash, and that was pretty awful.
And this is coming from Candi, who is a professional stylist.
Yeah.
So the shampoo is a big thing.
Yeah, my hair was kind of a wreck after that. No blow dryers, so imagine not being able to blow dry your hair either. That was, I think I wore hats in there. I did do that. You couldn't have anything in your room, like you couldn't bring a package of crackers back in case you were going to get hungry later. You'd have times that they would just come in and search everybody's room. If you had something, everybody got in trouble. I don't know if I mentioned the bars on the windows, which I get, but at the same time, it really does make you feel like you're a prisoner, that you're not there to get professional help, that you're stuck.
Did it make you feel like they considered you dangerous?
Yeah. But I feel like I got more out of talking with patients than I did from the staff there. The staff basically was there to give you your medications, and if you weren't there at the window when it was time for you to get them, they would come and find you. Medical professional females flirting with male patients that are there for mental issues. You obviously weren't allowed cell phones or anything like that, but some snuck in. I can imagine how. I know this one male patient that I became friends with, he informed me that one of the nursing staff had been sneaking him in the nicotine pouches because he was a smoker. Just things like that at the time I just kind of shrugged it off, because to me, at that point I was there putting in my time and I just wanted to go home, so I wasn't going to make any waves. I don't feel like I got a lot out of it as far as helping me, because I was put on so much medication. I didn't feel anymore. I was just this walking dead girl and was very numb and blank a lot, and just went through the motions of life, and that's all I was doing.
Okay, when did all that change for you?
After I started hypnotherapy.
Okay, so tell the class about that.
You want me to tell them about our first session?
Sure, why not? We're all friends here. It's all open book.
It's just kind of...
It's kind of funny.
It's kind of funny. I haven't looked at this journal for a really long time. So this was March 8th, 2012. It's been a while again since I've written. 2 weeks ago I went to see a hypnotherapist, which I thought was a total crock, but it proved to be one of the best things I've ever done. While I was under, he led me to you, which I'm talking about my husband, and I could actually sense you. He said my hands were moving as if I were touching you. I yelled and screamed at you, asked you why and how you could do this to us. It felt like I was only with you for a brief moment, but it was 29 minutes. Just with you. I didn't want to leave.
And that was one of the things that you have to be careful of when you use that type of therapy, because oftentimes the client doesn't want to leave. This is a person that they really loved or they wanted to be with for a long, long time. And in Candi's case, I had to be very careful that she didn't get stuck in there. And so we did. Then we proceeded with circle therapy to desensitize. And the end result was we had a very good outcome. But there were a few hiccups and bumps along the way, too.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that you set up nice trying to throw me curves sometimes.
Well, I always have walls up. Always.
Do you still have the walls up?
To a point.
Well, I can imagine professionally you do, but
Yeah.
when you're just out like with friends and stuff, are you still extremely guarded?
No, not like I was. I mean, I never let anybody in. But now I'm in a relationship, and we've been together for almost 3 years. He probably still doesn't know everything I've been through, and to a point, I think that that's okay. I want to leave some of my past in the past.
That's okay. And how's your relationship with your dog?
Much better. Because of all of the medications I was on and taking, I don't remember close to probably 2 years. I have little memories. But even today, in reading these journals before I came in, because I've got one just for her, there's so many things that I don't remember ever happened. And that's sad because of just being so blank.
Wow. So it's like 2 years of your life was kind of taken from you.
Yeah, she was 14 and she was taking care of me.
How has that affected her, or did it?
She had to grow up really fast. But now,
She's 23. Part of me feels like she reverts a little bit because she lost part of her life. Or maybe that's just she's 23 and just not prepared for life.
Sure they are. All you have to do is ask them. They can solve any problem.
I think she probably hasn't dealt with everything as much as she should as well. And I know that when she found me on the bathroom floor, unresponsive, she really remembers that, and it's really hard on her. She's recently moved away, and she's told me from time to time that she worries because she's not here, and she has nightmares that she's standing over me and laying there, and she's just screaming and screaming. But I'm not at that point in my life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, I just reassure her that nothing like that's ever going to happen again. That that's not me anymore. But I know it was hard for her.
Sure, that's understandable. So, as we progressed through the therapies, how did you feel? I mean, did you notice a difference? Because I know from your first time, you came in and you had dark days and you had days that were a little bit lighter, but when did you start noticing a difference? How long did that seem to take?
I think it took me a little bit longer, only because I was doing the suicide survivors groups, and that would kind of always set me back to the beginning. But I would say after a few months, I noticed, I wasn't wearing all the blingy jewelry anymore. I wasn't wearing things that would...
You weren't wearing the hats anymore.
Yeah. I was becoming me again.
Okay.
I wasn't taking the medication, obviously. Yeah. I remember one of our handwriting sessions, I took little notes in here. And I don't know, I feel like I'm still all over the place sometimes, but I think that's just because I'm in a hurry. But you wanted me to work on my G's were for my anger and guilt, and my T's I had low self-esteem, and my Y's I was trying to hook into the past. And I feel like I've really come leaps and bounds from where I was.
Good. So you changed your handwriting a little bit and noticed a difference.
Yeah, but like I said, I think sometimes I'm just in a hurry, and so I scribble, but that's just me.
That's okay. When I'm in
I'll
a
always
hurry,
be.
it looks like a straight line, but I can read it,
Yeah.
but other people can't. But a lot of people discount the handwriting, but we have to remember that handwriting is a subconscious effect. And so when we make changes in our handwriting, that goes directly into the subconscious. It bypasses the conscious mind completely, goes directly to the subconscious. So, for example, for low self-esteem, if you look and the person is crossing lower midpoint to low midpoint, and you have them elevate that T-cross up higher, within a matter of weeks, you're going to start noticing their self-esteem elevating itself. It sounds really kind of interesting, it's kind of funny, but from a neuroscience standpoint, it really works. And so I use handwriting analysis exclusively in this office. The subconscious is incapable of lying, so I ask the client to tell me their story about their issue, what's worked, what hasn't worked, what they've tried, things like that. And you would be surprised the insight that you can get just by the clues that the subconscious is giving you. It's truly amazing, so I would encourage all of you to really study the handwriting analysis and really get on board with it, because it will make your therapies a whole lot shorter than the way that traditionally they go. Anything else that you'd like to share with the class?
Just that, know your hypnotherapist if this is something that you want to try. I wish I would have tried it right away, bypassed all the medications, because I would have so much more of my life back. And I feel like in St. Mary's, they looked at me more as a person that tried to commit suicide, not as a person who had witnessed what I saw when my husband took his life, and it being PTSD. Instead, they just treated me for something else that really wasn't the issue.
It's understandable. Okay, class, that'll do it for today. Go back and look at the videos that are on your syllabus for you to look at. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about diagnosis and the DSM, and you'll see how so many of the diagnoses that we see are actually off, and the reason they're off is because the psychiatrist or psychologist that is doing the diagnosis isn't getting to the root of the issue. What they're doing is they're looking at symptoms, and if you have this symptom and this symptom and this symptom, then I've got this line of possible diagnosis to choose from. And the reality is it oftentimes is much, much deeper than just symptoms. We have to look at the symptom being a symptom and trace it back to see what the root cause of that symptom is. Okay? So I'll see you all next week. You have a fantastic week. If you have any questions, I am available both on the computer and on the phone. So if you have a telephone question, 888-604-9997. I'm extension 3. See you next week. Bye.